I'm here this morning to talk about one of the, one of the applications Firstco built using WinCC OA, based on our infrastructure management expertise. Quick overview: Firstco are a UK company. We're London-based, and for the last 25 years, we've worked in a lot of the very large infrastructure projects in the UK and beyond. The likes of airports at Heathrow, Gatwick, Stansted, some airports in the Middle East, in Oman and the UAE, and also a lot of rail projects, particularly again in the UK, the likes of Crossrail, some of the tube line extensions. And what we've seen across all this experience is the amount of infrastructure management that is common, regardless of the application, regardless of the sector, regardless of the industry. There's a huge amount of commonality, a huge amount of the same assets, the same technologies, the same problems to solve, the same solutions required. And what we've been able to do is pull together all that sort of the common problems and try and create a common solution to that. Much like we saw with the battery, the production management for batteries toolkit, we've created our own infrastructure management toolkit based on the sort of the applications we've produced over the years. And we can quickly deploy that back into new environments, new sectors, and help them define what they might need based on the horizontal innovation, the learning from other sectors. Where we've been able to put that into existing infrastructure, we're also able to look at the way that might influence infrastructure of the future. And a particular example we've spent some time on that I'll talk about today is urban air mobility. Now, this is it's basically passenger drones. It's vertical takeoff, automated, autonomous aviation vehicles, urban air mobility, and the concept is that it will be relatively short distance aviation, sort of in the order of tens of miles, typically maybe from an airport to town centre, something like that. And it sounds futuristic, but it's coming very quickly. It's funded. There's a lot of investment in the sector. There's a huge amount of investment in the vehicles themselves, the likes in Germany of Volocopter and Lilium and Vertical in the UK that we've been working with, and a huge amount of investment into the infrastructure that's going to be needed to support that. We've been lucky enough to have a funded program with Innovation UK, where we've worked with a lot of partners, including some of the universities, some of the manufacturers, and some of the regulators like this Civil Aviation Authority in the UK, to try and define what this infrastructure is going to look like in the future, and particularly bring our experience of existing infrastructure into that to help define the solution. So the problem we're looking to solve here, what we worked with Innovate UK to try and look at, is the operating concept of how these vertiports are going to work. Although it's an aviation sector environment, it doesn't really operate like an airport. It's much smaller scale. It's more like a helipad or a heliport, where you're looking at sort of a small number of vehicles, a small number of movements per day, and it doesn't really merit the on-premise control and management that something large like an airport would warrant. We think of it more like railway control, where you have a regional operating centre or a line control centre, where you have remote management of multiple stations or multiple sites. And that created a challenge. We had a lot of challenge working with, particularly with the Civil Aviation Authority, to define what you're allowed to do remotely in terms of aviation management, whether you can board and take off an aircraft without anyone on site present or with minimal on-site presence, and trying to define the infrastructure to support that secure remote management and control. So the solution we came up with is the remote operations platform. This the idea of a regional control centre for vertiports that allows people to safely and securely manage multiple sites from a single location, in a way that allows them to sort of very cost-effectively manage this infrastructure in the future. And the three key challenges we looked at was the situational awareness, so the digitization, the data aggregation, and making sure that there is a good, secure situational awareness of what's going on at all the sites at all times. If you've got operators who are trying to control multiple sites and jump back and forth between multiple sites, we need to assist them in their operations. We need them to help them understand when they jump from one vertiport to another, what is the current situation there, what is the next task to do, where are they in the workflow, and make sure they understand exactly what the next steps need to be. And then obviously the other key challenge is the actual remote operation, the unmanned sites. So as well as the operational challenge, there's a maintenance challenge here of making sure that we present clear information about the faults, the alarms, the situation on site, so that if maintainers have to travel to site, they're doing it as well informed as they possibly can be, understanding exactly what the challenge to solve will be. It's obviously built on WinCC OA. I've got some quick user interface examples here. Unfortunately, I don't really have time to go into too much detail, but very happy to explore the application with anyone later today if they're interested. What we've really done here is taken a lot of the things that have been proven in use over the years in commercial applications, in environments like airports and railways, and taken those sort of standard objects and turned them into our sort of standard Firstco libraries, and then sort of shown what that might look like in vertiports, and sort of worked with the infrastructure developers to define what sort of things they might need to monitor and might need to manage. So although the application as a whole is sort of a proof of concept, every component in this application has been proven in commercial use. And the assets really are kind of the same, whatever infrastructure you're looking at. It's the likes of, the building management systems, the utilities monitoring, the CCTV, the public address, the fire alarm systems. These are all things that already exist. And we're able to sort of recombine that sort of proven technology into sort of a demonstrator for this industry. One of the things we work closely with the CAA as well is in terms of the leveraging the various managers that WinCC OA includes, that allows us to sort of create that single source of truth, the single operating interface. Particularly the video manager, the CCTV integration, where we were looking at the remote boarding concept. I think one of the biggest concerns they had was that the remote operator needed live video feed at all times. They needed live voice interaction with the site, and they needed live video feed for the site so that they could step in and change things, depending on what they were really looking at. So being able to integrate the CCTV into the WinCC OA platform, not as a separate CCTV solution or control point next door, and embed that into the workflows was something that really sort of helped smooth the path to those that sort of the CAA sort of agreeing to the concept. The other thing we've made use of is the custom API development toolkit, where we've built our own driver for the public address system. So we used a third-party public address system, created our own interface, created our own toolkit, and again allowed that to be fully integrated into the WinCC OA application in the same way the CCTV is. So operators can work within one platform and play automated messages, boarding calls or last calls. They can have audio alarms. If a system alarm comes in, it's possible to automatically trigger a voice output so that it plays out to everyone at the vertiport. And again, it just gives the remote operations staff a single platform, a single screen, rather than working with lots of different subsystems in a complex remote environment.
I'm sorry, just a question from my side.
Of course.
That basically, you guys developed third-party tool, and after that, you integrated them with WinCC OA. Right?
Yes.
How was your experience with that? Because, I mean, you have a SCADA software, it's fine, it's running, that's nice. But for this kind of situation, it's like you have a new requirement that comes to you, and you need to think about how to integrate this requirement to the existing software. And I'm really interested to know how was your experience with the integration? Was it easy? Was it clear? How is the communication between these two parts?
I mean, I think I'll check with the engineers, but from my point of view, it was quite straightforward. We had a lot of help with Siemens. We got some of the, there is an API development toolkit.
Mm-hmm.
We made use of that. We had some people from Siemens in at the start to help us sort of navigate through that, help us sort of make sure we were setting off on the right track early on. As I say, I don't know the detail of a lot of the implementation, but it all works fine now.
That's great. That's
I assume they had no problems whatsoever along the way. So the final thing I want to look at, just we're conscious of time, just to sort of reiterate this concept that regardless of the infrastructure sector, what we found is there's a lot of commonality between them, and we've been able to create this engineering command and control concept, as I say, almost like a toolkit, like it looks a lot like that sort of production management for batch, tailor it for the sort of security or safety or availability requirements of a particular industry, and just sort of combine those modules very effectively to produce something that's sort of pre-tested and with a lot of confidence.
Really impressive solution. Thank you, Andy, for being with us today. You're from the UK, so long live the king, and may Firstco thrive in the airplanes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.